Yeah.
Yo, yo, yo.
What up? What up? What up? It is your boys from the King and I Life podcast.
Yes,
As
sir. Back up in this thing once again.
we up in this joint. Um, we just dropping in here live just for the hell of it. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. You know what? Me and my boy, we are talking about this one topic right here. How do you view a relationship from a percentage standpoint of is it 50-50, 60-40 at times, or 100-100?
Well,
So,
wait.
uh,
But before we get into that, right?
okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, check this out. The music that's playing in the background right now is from Lake Charles, music artist, Sweat Artiste,
Artiste.
dope young brother. Again, Lake Charles, Louisiana. He is going to be our guest Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So I urge you to check him out on Apple Music, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube, SoundCloud, all that.
Yes,
Uh,
sir. He on all those platforms. Please
all
check my homeboy out because his music
check
is dope as hell. For real, for real.
Yeah, but that's his song "Confessions" off his debut album. Sorry it had to be this way. But yeah, dope music, dope guy, man, good dude. So yeah. So with that being said, we're gonna get into our topic.
Yes, sir. So, everybody, again, please like, share, and subscribe, especially on YouTube. You know, y'all got us on Facebook. We're coming to that Patreon. We just loading up the clip right now. So, please be on the lookout for that.
Indeed, yes, indeed, yes, indeed.
And most of all, please hit us up at that King and I Life. No, it's King and I 369 at gmail.com. I apologize. That is
Hey,
King and I 369 at gmail.com. You know, we love to hear you guys comment, questions, whatever it is, just shoot it in. We got you.
yeah, we got you because we trying to talk to the people.
For sure, for sure.
Trying to hear what y'all talking about, what y'all saying. What y'all got for us, and all that good stuff. All that good stuff. Um,
So, with that being said, people, again, we're going back to the topic of how do you view a relationship from a percentage standpoint? Is it 50-50, 60-40 at times, or 100-100?
but
What say ye, King?
when you throw that out there, you can't forget the 80-20 rule either.
Oh, yeah, true. True that, true that. Thank you.
So I used to be naive. I used to be very naive when it came to this topic. Um, I used to be like, it should be 50-50. I don't understand why it can't be 50-50, or how come it's not 100-100. You know, why can't people come equally? And then you got a lot of people saying, oh, you got to be equally yoked and this, that, and the other. And in all reality, to be straight up, blunt, and full transparent, that's a bunch of bullshit. Um, there, there, if you can find me any, give me five, all I ask is five relationships that are legitimately 50-50 all the way around. Somebody got to find me that. And if you can find me that, I will back down. But I think relationships, from a percentage standpoint, they it's all over the place. I don't think you can really have a a, a complete 50-50 relationship. That's just my point of view on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, like you, back in the day, I was kind of naive. I'm like, I want a female that can bring it 50-50, I get my 50, you give your 50, we make it right. But
Right.
unfortunately, I still haven't found that 50-50 to a certain degree. Um, I think nowadays it's kind of like the combination of all of them. You're going to have times when you're going to be 50-50. You're going to have times when you're 60-40. You're going to have times when you're 80-20. And then you're going to have times when you're 100-100, meaning you just got to bring everything you got to the situation, especially in time of traumas or chaos, uh, or those things that just happen unexpectedly. You got to bring everything you got uh, equally in
Right.
order to survive those situations. So I definitely feel you on that. It's just you got to bring what you got when you can,
Right.
but it's never, as far as I can tell, always going to be 50-50. You might get a glimpse of it and you might touch on it every now and then, but it's never, ever, always going to be 50-50, at least from my life experiences.
It's interesting to wonder where and why a lot of people think that something can be 50-50. And instead of saying 50-50, I'll say equally yoked. I wonder
Right.
why people are under that impression that that is legitimately possible, because um, everybody's going to have their day, whether it be a good day, bad day, so day, or whatever the case may be. You might have a day when you only want to give 10%. And, you know, that other person might be like, you know what? All I'm feeling is 30 right now. So I just don't I don't know, how people base relationships on a percentage standpoint to the point where they really putting their feet in the ground and standing firm with that. Like I'm just confused a little bit. Oh, we got a comment up here.
Yes, sir.
So Cheryl says, I think it depends on what a person is able to contribute to the relationship at different times, depending on what's going on at the time. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I guess that kind of goes back to the point of it's not always going to be 50-50. It's definitely going to be a varying percentage. Um, that's just there's no two ways around that. No two ways around that.
No, I'm definitely feeling what Cheryl's saying, though. Um, Different strokes for different folks, or different times calls for different percentage rates. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, when everything's good, I think that's when things can kind of be 50-50, meaning being in the moment of actually being in a blissful moment. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's chill, everybody's good, everybody's laid back. You know, maybe like a party environment or something like that. You bring that type of energy, everybody's 100 when a certain song comes on.
Right.
So,
Everybody
you
got
know,
the same bottle of crunk juice on.
yeah, yeah. So I definitely feel like it depends on what kind of environment you're in at the time, whether it be a party environment to a trauma situation to I'm just god dang tired, man. I
Yeah.
can't give any more than damn 10% right now. That's all I got.
Yeah. So let me throw this question out there to you.
All right.
At what point does the percentage get to an area to where you say, you know what, I can't do this no more.
Ooh, good one. Good one. Um, I think that comes down to situations where maybe you're in a relationship where things have taken a turn for the worse.
Hmm.
Meaning, every time you guys turn around, you guys are butting heads on, some subject. It could be something as simple as, someone leaving the dang toilet seat up, or, uh, you know, someone flushing the toilet while you're taking a shower. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh,
again, when it comes down to certain situations, I think people just reach a point where they're like, you know what? I just don't have it to give to go there with you. It may be I just don't have it to give to go there with you right now. And then again, it might be, you know what? I just have no more to give to go on this point whatsoever.
right, right. Yeah. And it's funny how some of those little things can tip a relationship percentage that far.
It is. It is. I
Oh,
mean, it's those little things like pet peeves. Like one of my pet peeves is I can't stand uh, getting up in the morning, starting my day, and my bed is not made up. Like my
mm,
wife will tell you, like that's one of the first things I have to do, or it seems like I just can't do anything else. But again, that's just a pet peeve, and some people will make that a whole lot bigger than what it is. But I definitely get it.
so do you make that bigger than what it is? And she's looking at you like, are you serious?
I think it's more or less. I just always beat her. Well, I ain't gonna say always, but a lot of times I just beat her to making up the bed. She's pretty good about making up the bed and things of that sort. But for
Mm,
me, my mom always taught me, or my parents always taught me, just make up your bed. You're not in it.
right.
Why just leave it, all scruffled up like that? So I don't
But
know. It's just one of
but you
those things I picked up.
a lot of people say, I'm not making the bed because it's easier to get in the bed later. And
Yeah, yeah,
like,
definitely.
when you have a person that has that thought process and that mentality, it kind of messes with that percentage. It's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm my 10% of bedroom etiquette is making up the bed all the time. Your 10% is you just don't care. And it's like, for a person who might have mild or serious OCD, that might be a problem.
For sure.
And then they're looking at you like, oh, it's not a big deal. And it's like, wait, it is a big deal. It may be small to you. It may be small in percentage to what you think and what you feel and how you look at things. But for me, that's a major thing because when I get out of my bed, I want my day to look like my day is started, not like, it's either ending or it's not started, you know.
Right.
Mm.
So,
So
can a relationship really be measured from the standpoint? Uh, is it a basis for choosing a mate? You think?
can it be measured from that standpoint? I would say for some, it can be. It can, overall, it can be for everybody. I think for me, I think it depends on how heavily you look at um, defining your relationship from a percentage point of view. Um, like if you really take a percentage inventory of your relationship, then I think your relationship can be measured by that. Um, as far as it being a basis for choosing a mate, I don't think you should use that as the litmus test for choosing your mate. I think you need to find those commonalities with you and that other person, um, that that help you decide if that's the person that you're going to be with. Because if you go into it with percentages, I kind of think that you destined to fail. Because that's, to me, I think that's kind of looking at. So let's just say I make 80,000 a year. I'm gonna need you to make at least 60% of that on your end for us to be happy. And it's like, so you have this high standard of I need to make 60% of your income before you even look at me that way. And it's like, if that's what you're looking at, if that's one of the main things that you're looking at, for us to go to the next level or next step, or that's question one on your interviews. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely um, think that that's the wrong way to look at it. But a lot of people do. I mean, they looking at what kind of house you got, what kind of car you drive. Again, like you said, what kind of income you got. Um, it may be about your style. It may be about the circle of people you keep around you. People actually stop and take some of those things into consideration and put it into a actual percentage category. And I'm like, for me, I'm blown away by it. But you know, some people are more technical like that, I guess you could say. But
Uh,
if that's your thing, hey, roll with it. If it works for you, hey, it works for you.
I'm going to say if somebody asks me what kind of house I have or what kind of car I drive, and you live in an apartment, then I'm not going to think that you're worthy of being a percentage and factoring in my equation. Because I mean, that's totally irrelevant. If you live in an apartment, I live in a house. Now, let's just say that you have no choice but to live in an apartment. You shouldn't be worried about what I live in. You should better get to know me.
Right.
You better get to know me, not where I'm living or what I'm driving, because the car I'm driving is a car that's reliable. It gets me to where I need to go. I don't have no problems with it, and I understand it. So
Hey, it get me from A to Z, so I'm good with it.
eh, I'm
If you
not
want to
complaining.
ride, ride. If you don't, hey, your ass can walk.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about my car. So
Never that. Never that.
if I'm not complaining about my car, don't judge me by my car.
Exactly.
Mm.
So, with that being said, what is the benefit of being in a relationship or marriage in this day and age? Is
Ooh,
it better to be single, or if so, why?
benefit of being in a relationship or marriage in this day and time. Let's say stability, um, companionship, um, growth with a person who has pretty much like mine as you, hopefully, um,
Right.
building family, building community, um, having a support system, things along that line. That's what comes to my mind.
Um, I really can't add anything more to that. I mean, the thing about it is, I never would forget a friend of mine, Karki, and I know he's probably gonna watch one of these episodes and hear this story. But anyway, back when I was younger, we were on the discussion of having someone in our life as far as a mate and our same viewpoint. Like I was saying, I want someone who sees things the way I see things.
Mhm.
And his argument to that was, I want exactly the opposite.
Mm.
And I'm like, so why in the hell would you want somebody that sees things differently than you, especially on major topics?
Right.
And the answer he gave me really, kind of like a slap across the face. He was like, if I got someone who sees things differently than me, if their vantage point or viewpoint is different than mine, then they're going to see something I don't see. And that was like a real aha moment, because if you got someone who's looking at things from a different angle than you, then they help cover those bases that you don't see. So I totally get where he is coming from with that.
So is that trying to say like opposites attract?
I believe so.
I don't know.
To a certain degree, I believe so.
Mm-mm. I think you should have you should have more similarities than differences, but you should have individuality inside those similarities, because if we're like-minded, I think there's less chance for there to be tug of war if these two people do not have the ability to communicate effectively. So, I mean, you have to have like minds. You have to have individuality within those um, relatable traits between the two of you. And you also have to have effective communication, because you don't want somebody who's going to agree with everything that you say, but you want someone who can understand and give you um, unbiased feedback. Um, because we all know, if a person who's just agreeing with what you said, it's like, coming to America. What do you like? Whatever you like. I like whatever you like. So if that's what he was thinking of, then okay, that's no. Now, but you want someone who has their own thought process, their own brain, and can
Right.
have a conversation with you and give a different perspective. They don't have to be an opposite of you. They just need to be able to communicate a different perspective with you.
I think that's what he was trying to convey, during our conversation. Of you don't want someone who's so damn radical that you're butting heads, but you do want someone who can, help. Again, you cover your bases as far as like seeing different things that you don't see. There are certain things that you're so focused on one thing that they see it from a totally different angle, and they might be able to tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, did you think of this or did you see that?"
Right.
So I totally get what you're saying with that.
Yeah, because yeah. Now, as far as is it better to be single? If so, and why? Um, if you're not mentally, physically, and emotionally prepared to be in a relationship or marriage, then it's probably best for you to be single. Um, you have to think of that other person when you make a decision like that to be in a relationship or be married. Um, you have to understand where you are. You have to know where they want to be as it pertains to you. And if you can fulfill that those needs that that person wants, then be single. And let that person know, hey, I'm not ready for X, Y, and Z. They have a choice. Either they're going to stay with you and y'all work it out, but how it work it out, or that person can go off and be married and find someone who wants what they want. And hopefully they go out and find a person who wants exactly what they want. That way they can be happy.
All right. I mean, I would think from a marriage standpoint, it's definitely good to have someone in your corner uh, in those times of needs. Someone to watch your six, as they say.
Hmm.
Um, but I think as far as percentage wise, as far as getting things done, you two can actually get more done by separating in order to do certain little tasks, get certain lines of business taken care of. So from that point of view, I definitely can see why marriage can be a benefit. um, from a single standpoint, though, I would say uh, you're not, or you don't necessarily have to have a significant other. um, I think it's all about you scheduling your time right and making sure you divvy things up in order to be beneficial to yourself when it comes down to making sure you spend your time right and your money and resources and all that stuff.
Yeah, I definitely feel like if you can find a person who can um, build with you, I don't want to say bring to the table right now, but if you can find someone, and again, that takes a person with a like mind. If you can find somebody who can build with you, then marriage is definitely a plus, or even just a relationship where it's just you and that one other person. Um, you can go so far with that. Um, hey, you might be successful on your own, and you might not need that extra whatever. But I think that if any percentage that a person brings to your life that is um, um, productive, is a plus. So I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 60-40, 50-50, or 80-20, or whatever the case may be, just as long as what that person brings to the table is productive and beneficial to you both. I think genuinely have a good thing.
Definitely, definitely. Um, Let me ask you this though. With that being said, a lot of times people feel like they're being used in certain relationships and certain situations.
Hmm.
Now, when it comes down to uh, not necessarily people in your circle, but people um, that you congregate with,
Hmm.
when you find yourself in a situation where you're being used to a certain degree, um, how do you how should I say this? How do you take that as far as like if you're being used in a good way, do you take it like that, or do you see when someone's trying to use you in a bad way? If I'm explaining that correctly to you.
Used in a good way. I wouldn't say used in a good way. Um, but I would say if a person finds themselves in a situation to where they're being used, um, I guess you have to ascertain and assess if you being used is being blatant and uh, misleading and manipulative and all kind of things like that. Um, if you find yourself in one of those type of situations, then you need to look deep inside yourself and say, is this worth me being here? Because you don't want to, what you don't want to do is be in a situation to where you feel like you're being used, or you think you're being used, or you flat out know you're being used. You don't want to be there and get sucked dry, and that person now has leverage over you. You don't want to be in a position like that. So you need to recognize your situation, and that goes back to things that we've said before. You have to be active in your relationship to see these things and know these things, because if you're not, you know by the time you wake up and realize what's going on, you're gonna be left out in the cold. So if you're feeling used, I think you should just, you know, get on up out of there. There's no reason in staying there. Like, why be used? Why know you're being used for the sake of comfort, for the sake of, you know, being in a relationship or whatever the case may be? Because now you're looking at one of those situations to where that percentage is just is going all the way off. It's not beneficial for you in any type of way. Because if the the benefit to you is low, then you have to look at other things. Your percentage of your health, your physical health, is going down. The percentage of your mental well-being is going down. The percentage of your self-esteem is going down. You having all these issues. Why? Because for the sake of you trying to balance something that can't be balanced.
My thing is, I don't mind being used, and I'll explain that further to everyone. Let's say, for example, right? I have a friend who, let's say, his car is not working, and he's using me to get back and forth to work. If I have that type of time. But then at the end of the week, he was like, "Man, hey, I got this bonus check or whatever the case may be. Man, let me throw you a few extra dollars, extra on top of the gas money I said I was going to give you." I think that's a beneficial use. You
I don't
using me to
disagree
get to
with
work,
that.
but at the end of the day, you're like, you know what? I got this extra little trunk right here. Let me break my boy off because he didn't have to do what he did. And then on the flip side of that, when you have someone who blatantly just using your ass to uh, chill in your crib, leave your damn lights on, using
Oh
your
Lord.
computer and everything underneath the sun. But then when the damn bill come in, they be like, "Hey man, you got a bill up there
Mm,
on your counter, or that bill came in the mail. that's a bad type of being used. So percentage wise, that's kind of like why I'm going back to, as far as like being used in a good way, being used in a bad way.
Mm. I wouldn't say like your first example. I wouldn't say that's being used because if that person is contributing um already, I wouldn't feel like I'm being used because
Right.
it's a give and take situation right there. So it to that degree, let's just hypothetically say that's a 50-50 situation. Now when that person says, "Oh shoot, I got a little extra. Hey, I got a little extra right here. I'm gonna break you off." That's showing more gratitude, more appreciation because that's saying, you know what, although it's convenient for you to pick me up and give me a ride, I'm showing extra gratitude for your time, for you. I don't know if you're going out your way. I didn't ask you that. I asked you for a ride and you said, yeah, it's cool, but you might be in a position to where you might not feel like it. So that little extra is like, yeah, hey. Now your second example, look here. If you got somebody up in your house and they just kicking back, chilling and everything, and you know, leaving lights on and this, that, and the other, and they, just freeloading and loafing around and not contributing nothing, yeah, that's being used. That's being used. And it's like, yo, look, um, you got to give something or get the hell out. Um, you never let nobody stay in your house, like that, and they not contributing anything. That's like literally being used. So, and that goes back to relationships, like we first started off. If you are in a relationship with any man or any woman, um, you have to set the guidelines up front, what your contribution to this situation is going to be. If you're going to be uh, my other half, meaning my 50% in this relationship, I need
Hmm.
to know what percentage you're contributing to this. Now, if you're gonna be 100% home, stay at home, wife or husband, then 100% of your duties need to be there, to the best of your abilities. Um, Now, if I'm going to be providing 100% of the income, that's my main responsibility. I may have other responsibilities within the household, but to me that would take percentages and throw them all over the place because if I'm the breadwinner, 100% of my responsibility is bringing home the bacon. um, if it's my responsibility to do heavy labor around the house, then 80% of that might around the house might be yours, but that 20% of hard labor is mine. So
Right.
you just have percentages all over the goddamn place. So I would be like, we're not doing percentages. We just going we
You,
going to live.
okay, you see the shit need to be done. Take care of it.
Right, exactly. Don't be sitting there like, well, you could do it. I'm tired. Well, I didn't want to go to work today, but I went. Like, what the hell?
Okay.
That's 100% my responsibility right there. Like, come on now, what we talk about?
For sure. So, what are people choosing their significant others based off? You think, in your opinion, if it's not percentage, like what are they choosing their mate for? Again, not to kill a dead horse, but what do you bring to the table? As
That
some may say.
that to me is a loaded question. Um, and I say that because, um, yeah, man, because some people choose their mates these days off of the wildest things. Um, they might they might choose because of um that person's status, like their popularity. They may choose this person because of their financial um stability or well-being or whatever the case may be. They may choose this person because they don't have anywhere to go or they don't have any other choice. Um, it's a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now, when I know I can't I said something about what somebody brings to the table, and that kind of is important. Um, because you need to you got to have someone who brings something to the table or to the equation, because if you have someone, well, let me back up. If you're choosing someone that does not benefit you financially, mentally, or emotionally, and for some spiritually, then you're wasting your goddamn time. Like, you're just wasting your damn time, because that person is sucking energy out of you. That person is sucking a lot out of you, and it's like, at some point you're going to be drained, and you know what do you do when you get to that point?
True. True. I mean, my thing about it is when you're choosing a significant other, um, I think you have to go beyond the materialistic things. Um,
Definitely.
First of all, just for me, I would say look at what kind of family they come from. And I don't mean just go to a party and enjoy yourself. I mean really understand the circumstances of what kind of relationships their mother may have, their father may have, how they conduct themselves. Again, the type of people that the person you're choosing they hang around. I mean, all of those play a key role in the type of person that you're choosing for your mate. um, some may disagree, but that's your opinion. I think another thing that you have to look at is when you are down, what do this person do to help lift you up? I'm not going to say pick you up, but lift you up.
Hmm.
And that may be from a financial situation, it may be just from a mental situation,
Right.
but things along those lines, just to name a few. I would say those are the things that people really got to stop and take into account. Because, and I'll say this one thing about my situation was when uh, I got married, uh, and my wife can tell you, I didn't have a pot to piss in and a window to throw that bitch out of. But for some reason, and she was making well over 100,000 a year, where she was at. Um, she chose to invest in me, and
Hmm.
I am always so grateful for that. Um, because at the time I was just a struggling student,
Hmm.
college student, just trying to get through the daily life grind, as they say. But anyway, 11 years later, what can I say? We still doing our thing because you know there are times when I have to bring more to the table than what she has, meaning whether that be physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever. You know, I've learned that it's not always going to be that, again, that 50-50. It's going to be the combination of everything, that 50-50, that 60-40, that 20-80, and then that 100-100.
Yeah.
So, uh, again, not to keep going on about it, but that kind of gives you an idea of how I feel as far as like choosing a significant other and not always basing it on materialistic things.
Yeah, that and what you said goes directly with what Cheryl just said. She says, I feel like people set their relationships up for failure when they choose people on what they have rather than who they are. And
Definitely, Cheryl.
from
Definitely.
what you're saying, your wife chose you for who you are and not what you have. Um, and that's important. And Cheryl also says people's situation will change over time. They, if they have goals and desires, will acquire more over time. I feel like the biggest downfall for relationships is that people focus too much on what someone can bring to the table rather than getting to know um, who you're sitting at the table. who you're sitting at the table with.
She just
That
dropped a bomb on that one, son.
that
That's a
is
real jewel right there. A real jewel.
pathetic. Um, yeah, because if you don't know who you're sitting at the table with, um, and you focus on what they bring, and I think a lot of our people have that issue. They're not looking at who they're sitting at the table with. They're looking at, oh well, you're doing this, you got that, you can do this, and blah blah blah, and blah blah blah, and they're not, fully engaged on, hey, who am I sitting at the table with? And
Hmm.
to go also piggyback on what you were saying on as far as, that family, that person's family background. Now, to be fair, you sometimes can't look at a person's family and say, oh, well, your family is like that, so you're likely to be like that. Um, because there's a lot of people out there who've come from messed up family backgrounds, and they are determined not to be like that. And
True that. True
it
that.
takes for that other person to see inside of that person to respect and understand that, and really comprehend that, because you know a lot of us come from broken homes.
True.
And, just because we come from broken homes don't mean that we're going to keep creating broken homes, or that's what we strive to have. We have ambitions, we have goals, but again, you need to sit at the table and know who you're sitting at the table with. um, if that person is kicking you up under the table, talking about, hey, I know you see that across the table, but that ain't me. Let me show you who I am. And while I'm showing you who I am, I need you to understand who I am. That way, it don't matter if you bring in, 100,000 or 80,000. I'm bringing 30,000. As long as you know that I have desires, goals, and aspirations to do X, Y, and Z, that we are going to steadily progress, over time. Now, if one of those people get to the point where it's like, you know what, well, that person got it, I can fall back and chill. You need to check that and nip it in the
Oh
bud,
hell
because
yeah.
you don't want to be sitting there like, well, you came into this, and you showed me X, Y, and Z. You showed me that, what was the uh the the representative. You showed me your representative. That was, hey, we sat at the table, 30 times, and that was a good representation that you were showing me. And
Hmm.
now this is not what nah, you got to check that. You got to check it, and you definitely got to work that out. So yeah, um, don't weigh heavily so much on what the person brings to the table. Know who you sitting across the table from, and who you're sitting at the table with. And when you sit at the table with this person, make sure that person that you're sitting at the table with is the same person that you keep sitting with.
Definitely, definitely. Like I said, on our previous conversation about representatives, my opinion was after 90 days, that's when you truly see the real person. That's when they start peeking through and shining through. Um, so if you really want to see or measure, someone's value, if even if you want to go there as far as percentage,
Hmm.
um, it's gonna take time. It's gonna take, an investment to see exactly, like King was saying, who is sitting at the table with you.
Hmm.
So again, rushing into, certain situations based on materialistic things, um, I I advise not to do that. Because this person, yeah, they might have that fancy car and that big home, and everything on the outside appears to be going good, but on the backside of that, these persons, they might have certain addictions. They might have, certain family traumas. They might have certain individual issues that they're battling. So
Yeah,
again,
they
basing
might flat
your
out ulterior motives.
uh huh. So basing your interpretation of who someone is on percentage as far as their materialistic belongings, I think that's the wrong way to go.
Yeah, 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 definitely. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. Um, yeah, if any of you out there who are listening would like to call in um, and give your opinions to this conversation that we're having right now, um, you can always text your name to this number right here, and we can bring you on the line so you can speak your piece. That number is 347-778-1082. You know, I mean, if you want to jump in on a conversation with us. But yeah. So, what do you think about true love?
Oh, I think it does exist.
Uh,
I think those percentage are very low. But I think true love sometimes happen by building it into true love, meaning your relationships. They may have their struggles at the beginning there, and then at the time everything starts to smooth out, and true love happens. But it's built. It just doesn't happen overnight, as they say. How
mm,
about you?
whew. Um, I think true love exists. Um, it takes a certain maturity on people. It takes a certain level of commitment with people. It takes a certain amount of responsibility with people. Um, so I think true love can happen, but what I don't like to hear, or what I don't necessarily agree with, is goddamn soulmates. Um, sorry, sorry, sorry. Um,
Oh wow.
I'm not apologizing for feeling like that, but I just don't believe in soulmates. And I say that because how many times in an average person's life have they said, "Oh, that's my soulmate," and then 5 years later they can't stand that person, they are apart, and they've moved on with their lives, and like, but I thought that was your soulmate. Like, if that was your soulmate, why are y'all not still together? Like, help me understand. Like, even though you're physically apart, are your souls still together? Like, help me understand that one right there. Like, where does that lie? Like, I mean,
That's a good perspective. That's a good way of putting it. I think some people believe, when they meet people and they just have that instant chemistry,
mm,
uh, they feel like this is my soulmate because you could be. Um, and I'm not saying my wife is my soulmate. I'm not saying that. But for the technical side of saying, yes, she's my soulmate. No, just joking, just joking. But
uh,
the thing about it is, I can't tell you how many times I would pick up the phone and call her, and she'd be like, "Damn, I just picked up the phone to call you,"
mm,
or we'd be thinking about the same thing at the same time. Meaning, we could be in the house and uh, we could have a craving for something. And I'd be like, damn, you want some tater chips? She's like, you know what? I was thinking about that same damn thing.
mm.
So it's kind of like along those lines. I think people sometimes think that certain chemistry that they have with their mates automatically determines that they're soulmates. Um,
I just wouldn't call it soulmates. I just can't. I just can't. Because if you are we calling each other's soulmates, then um barring any extreme occurrences in our situation, we should always be together. We should never be in a situation to where we are questioning, doubting, wondering, or anticipating our union. Period. Now, on the flip side of that,
All right.
do I believe in life mates? Absolutely. And I believe in life mates to the point where, okay, well, if we're together and we are together until does us part, life mates. Be together for life. So, you know, we got another comment here from Lisa. And Lisa says, gotta get to know who they are, not just on the outside, what they what they drive, if they live in a mansion, etc. You gotta get them to talk and really get to know them for who they truly are, their upbringing, beliefs, likes, dislikes, etc. Not everything on the outside speaks on who and what um, that one may be or not be. Listen with your full attention and don't fear conversation because that's how you get to know one another. I agree with that.
Very valid point.
Very valid point.
All those are true, I think, Lisa. Thank you for chiming in. Um, I will say this life makes.
mhm.
So, what do life makes? What's the difference between life mates and soulmate and just a regular damn married couple or couple to you? I mean, like, when you
When
say life mate, what's that category?
when okay, so when you say soulmate, if you're going to tell me we're soulmates, I'm looking at that. That's like a so deep connection. That's like a connection with God. That's like a soulmate.
All right,
That's how
gotcha.
we look at that. So I don't see any one person on this planet being a soulmate. Now, when I say life mate, now we can be together. We can have our ups and downs, our joys and pains, and everything, or whatever the case may be. But we are together for life. It's me and you against the world, no matter what. Um, and so again, it's like we gonna ride this out till you kick the can and I kick the bucket. Um, now let's and there's examples out there in the world to where it's like, and I guess I would venture to call it soulmates. Now let's say you have two people, they've been
Mm-hmm.
together 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. One passes away, and shortly after that, that other one passes away because that was their life mate. Now, if it gets to that point, then I'll venture to say soulmates because y'all have went that far to where you both crossed over into soul land right after each other or right together. So I would look at soulmates like that. But at 20 years old, I don't want to hear you talking about that's your soulmate. I don't want to hear that. That's nonsense. Like get out of here. Um, Cheryl says, in my opinion, true love is real and possible, but is rare because it is a relationship that has weathered and stood the test of time. It's not a fly by night relationship, it's grounded in trust, loyalty, sacrifice. Again, and that goes to,
True
along the line
words.
of a life mate because y'all riding that thing out till the wheels fall off. And then she says it keeps burning. Exactly. It keeps burning. Now, if the relationship goes that far, then yes, I'll venture to say soulmates. But at 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, I don't want to hear you talking about that's my soulmate. You don't know that's your soulmate. What was the last part of that you had said? Because you said three things. You said life mate, soulmate, and something else.
A regular couple, married couple, or couple.
Uh, you mean the people who get complacent and they're just together because they're together? You
Oh
know,
wow. Okay, go ahead, throw it out there.
when you say regular couple, it's like, all right, we together, but there's no spark. As Cheryl said, it doesn't keep burning. It's like a match that you got to keep lighting or something like that, you know. And
Yeah,
um Lisa throws in there one important point that many don't think much about is that you have to learn to love yourself. Oh yes, learn to love yourself and learn to be good with, you know, you definitely have to learn and love yourself. So and again, this goes to the soulmate, life mate, this, that, and the other. If you don't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else?
exactly.
How? How
Those are
how
my sentiments.
how do you call somebody your soulmate and you don't even love yourself? If you don't love yourself, you don't know how to love me. Like
I
serious.
feel like self love is the best love. Just don't love yourself too much. You will run out.
You got to love yourself first before you love somebody else. You have to understand love.
That was a joke,
And
people. That was a joke.
love. I know it was. You got to understand loving yourself. And you have to be able to, you know, communicate that to that other person, because I'll be damned if you call yourself my soulmate and I ask you something about loving yourself first, and you know, you give me this uh mildly miserable story. I'm like, you don't love yourself. Like, what's going on with you?
Yeah, and then you have those that love
Yeah.
themselves by touching themselves.
Lord.
It happens, man. It happens. But
It does.
anyway. Um, I don't know. I think as far as self love, though, I think those are one of those things that you come to learn and understand about yourself.
Hmm.
The more time some people spend with themselves, the more they get to know themselves in a sense. And some people like, what do you mean get to know yourself? I mean, like,
Hmm.
you can be in a whole room full of people and have your own thoughts, and sometimes you can be in a room with those people and feel so alone.
You're right.
That's you actually being in tune with yourself at that particular space and time.
Hmm.
But again, I think there's nothing wrong with people actually taking time out to be by themselves, like
Hmm.
go on a drive by yourself, or go to a foreign country, or to the movies, or to the club, or just anything by yourself. I think that that's part of loving yourself right
Yeah.
there, is spending that quality time with yourself.
Yeah. And so Lisa added more onto her comment, and you know, the other part that she added was you need to be able to be friends as well. Um that's that's goes that should go without question in relationships. If you are not friends, best friends or damn near best friends, then I don't understand. Um you have to be friends. Unless you're in an arranged marriage, like, or arranged situation, uh to where it's like financially beneficial to you or something like that. And that goes back to that, I guess that goes back to that percentage thing, you know, at what percentage of that person do you consider to be your friend? um um you know, is this person your friend only because y'all are in a relationship and you're leaning on other people for um that friendship vibe? um so I mean, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, definitely, definitely. So, another thing on it, could it be situational? Um, and I know a lot of people, you know, I've hit on in that situation before, you know, unplanned pregnancy, rebellion, and convenience. Um, yeah, you know, people do that a lot, and you know, a lot of people are. You know, the funny thing is, people are aware of it, but they do it anyway. They know
Right.
better, and they still do it. And I think that is detrimental to them, and especially if it's an unplanned pregnancy. How do you build if you're not mentally prepared or mature to handle those types of situations? How do you balance that out? How do you gauge your percentages if you are in a situation to where you have an unplanned pregnancy and you still trying to find your way out of the, the treaded waters, you know, how do you do that? Um, if you're doing it to be rebellious, come on now. You're rebelling 100% against your family or your friends or whatever the case may be, and in your brain you're going to give 100% to this relationship, and it's like something cancels out somewhere.
Oh, it definitely does. It definitely does. I mean, think about it when you're deliberately placing yourself in a situation like that. Um, it's kind of like you're pushing that red button, so the red self destruct button,
Hmm.
just to prove a point to someone else. When
Right.
in fact, um, you're going hard for no reason, as they say. You want to prove that you 100% are in control of your life, but you actually just put yourself like 100 steps back
Hmm.
just to prove, you know, again that I can do this. And not only have you brought, this unwanted pregnancy, to this world, you have brought someone else into that same situation with you, whether it be the male or the female. And again, I think that goes back to your ego, kind of like situation of, what are you trying to prove?
Yeah.
That you can push the self destruct button? Anybody can do that. That's easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it's out of convenience, look here, I don't know what percentages you're building or trying to manage when you're doing that out of convenience, because again, that goes back to, okay, well, this person brings X, Y, and Z to the table. I don't have, anything significant to bring. Um, I'm letting this person get to know who I am, but for you it's convenient. But this person is doing all the work, so that throws the balance off. Um,
True.
I just don't. Um, I don't see why that people think that it is beneficial to a relationship or anything like that.
I don't either. But here's another question I have though that I find a lot of people do. I know that's a bit off topic, but why do people keep making the same mistakes over and over again? As far as like choosing someone that they know is not perhaps on their level as far as like being a benefit to both parties. Like when you have these females who have everything going on for themselves, or these guys that have everything going on for themselves, but they keep choosing someone who can't, you know, in other people's opinion, hold a candle to what that person's got going on. I don't get it.
Cheryl
Why do
says,
you?
Cheryl says situational relationships. I think what they say the definition of whatever it is doing the same thing over and over again. Um,
Insanity.
yeah, some people just can't grow. They don't know how to grow. They're tarnished. They're broken. They haven't decided how to love themselves. They haven't learned how to appreciate themselves. They haven't learned how to stand on their own. They haven't learned to um, grow and everything. And then Cheryl says again, situational relationships tend to lead to codependent relationships, which in turn lead to couples being content. There's little love or happiness, just contentment. That's so true. That's very true.
Hmm.
That's very true. And I think that's one of the worst type of situations that people can go into. Um, when you become codependent on another person or each other, I think that has you going around in circles, looking like wondering who's going to be the person to take us to the next level instead of people saying, "All right, let's stop." You know, we're beating a dead horse. We're going around in circles, and
Right.
we're not doing anything. And then sometimes they do it so long that they're just like, "All right, the hell with it. We here. Let's just like two ships passing the night." Um, I'll make you coffee in the morning. All right, I'll make you toast. So I'll talk to you later. Like, all right. And when it gets to that point of contentment, I don't understand. Well, I can't say I don't understand why they stay. I can only say I don't understand why they say from my point of view because I'm like, if we ain't doing nothing, we don't need to be together. Like, if I don't make you laugh or if I don't encourage you, you don't encourage me. We're not doing anything new. Um, we're not growing. We don't have aspirations doing things. Why are we together? It's kind of like friendships. Like if you my friend and we're not elevating each other, then why are we hanging around each other? What are we doing?
Right.
Um, it just doesn't make sense to me when people do something like that.
It doesn't. I mean, I've seen numerous of, my friends and associates, um, in certain situations when it comes to choosing, their mates, and you're like, this person isn't any different than the last person you were with. So why are you even bringing yourself back in contact with that same type of energy and same vibe? But for some reason, again, it goes back to when you're in the situation, you can't see what the person on the outside is seeing.
Hmm.
But again, they keep, you know, playing that same cycle, that same song. It's like at some point, you just have to get away from those people.
Yeah. Um, yeah, somebody sent me a message and said sex is one of those things that keep people together. Uh, I hope hope it can be more than that. Uh, you know, that box might be fired, that meat might be slinging, but if that's all it is, and that's what we uh, relegating our percentage to be, um, that's a problem.
It is.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, if you allow sex to keep you in a bad situation, you definitely have something going on with yourself. Again, that I think that goes back to self love. Do you love yourself enough to walk away from situations that again don't benefit you in the best light? So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Hey, people do it every day.
that they do.
Uh, I can't Dr. Phil them or Dr. Oz them or Ian Van Zant them, but hey, what you eat don't make me shit. um,
Sure, don't.
your bumpy bed ain't gonna help me sleep better. Uh, mm, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough situation for some.
It is a tough situation for some because some people don't know how to get out of it.
No, they don't. They
They're
seriously don't.
stuck. They're stuck, and it's like I don't like. The crazy thing about that when people are stuck in those situations, like, what do you want for yourself? What goals do you have? Do you have any dreams? Like, um, I just, you know, um, I don't know, man. I don't know why people want to be stuck, especially, and I think times like these should make a person really dig deep and look deep inside themselves and say, I don't want to be stuck.
Right.
You know, because so much has gone on where you really have to sit back and assess your life, assess the world, assess the person that you with, assess your dreams, goals, desires, and all that stuff. And to be stuck like that is crazy.
It is. I think at some point you just have to be selfish,
Yeah.
and selfish to the extent of uh, you have, again, like you said, certain goals and aspirations. But that person that's in your life at the time, they become a distraction because you guys are, trading jabs or going back and forth uh, on stuff or over stuff that has no um, greater bearing on your life to help you achieve where it is you're trying to go in life. So again, I just think people in those type of situations, you're deliberately setting a trap for yourself not to become the best version of yourself.
Hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That is so true. Very true. Very true. Very true. Um. So one more thing. Um. Has love moved further down the list of wants and needs? And needs moved up the list when choosing a mate, or can you separate the two?
Oh, good one, good one.
I don't know. I guess it depends on people, on the people in that situation, because, and I guess that goes back to what Cheryl was saying about people being content in codependent relationships. If you're in a codependent relationship, where does love sit in that relationship? Is it up there, or you know is it down there, and your needs with that person are more important than the love for that person? um I would assume that if your love for that person was where it needed to be, then um the needs should accommodate or fall in line with that love. um but if you get to the point where certain needs are in the way of the love, the growth, and all that other stuff, then that becomes a problem. Um and I think, hmm, it's a delicate balance. I think it's a delicate balance. I think you have to definitely look at your situation, what you're doing, what you want, and all that other stuff in order to make an educated decision, or you know good choices in that situation. That's about all I can say about that.
I mean, I think the thing about it is, back in the day, it used to be where love was the top of the priority list. Like, do I love this person enough to uh, partake on this journey that we call life? To actually build, as you were saying earlier,
Hmm.
um, to grow as a couple. Not only financially, but individually wise as well as a couple. But uh, when it comes down to this day and age, I just don't know,
Right.
because I think well, I can't say everybody, but I think there are certain individuals that want to be kind of like the power couple,
Hmm.
meaning as individuals, they got so much going on, as far as like living their best lives, or
Right.
building the best possible business that they can.
Yeah.
So they're actually looking around in the capacity of percentage wise, do this person have just as much as I have? So when we do come together, it's kind of easier for me to love this person because they're on that same level as me.
Hmm. Right. Yeah. Definitely. I definitely feel you on that. But I think it's, at the end of the day, you really need to take inventory of yourself. Definitely take inventory of the person that you are choosing to be with. You definitely have to take responsibility for the role that you play in that situation, and really not um, look at the percentage of what makes the best balance for that relationship in that situation in order to uh, determine the success of that relationship. I mean, even if you do want to put percentages on the situation, you know, the the thing about it is you have to make responsible choices in it. Um, Cheryl says, let's be honest, everyone goes into a relationship with an agenda. True. Some go into it looking for a long term mate. Um, um, Looking for a long term mate. So love is at the top, but others may just be looking for what they can get from the relationship short term. So they may not necessarily a be at the top or even on the list. And that is true for a lot of situations. Um, then Lisa adds, sometimes choosing the same type of people in relationships over and over and never working out is sometimes because of what they've seen growing up and tend to learn on these same type of people, lean on these same type of people. And I call it cycles in life need to be broken at some point. What else does she say? Uh,
Some don't choose to take time to self examine themselves, and the whys of these things continue before jumping into another relationship. It goes back to learning things we may have not learned early on. What is important? Loving yourself, true. Being comfortable being alone or by yourself to get out and enjoy life, fact. Face your fears and really pay attention to life from point A to present, and with an open mind to see where we are going wrong or why we are choosing ones we are not good with, or that will grow together as a couple, and be willing to change things, breaking cycles that you find that have led up to now.
mm, it's really deep.
That really sounds like wisdom right there, Miss Lisa.
Yeah.
Real wisdom right there,
Mm, yeah. Some wisdom right there. That's some real stuff.
for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, thank y'all for you know, participating with this.
Yes, thank everyone.
This was definitely an unplanned live. We didn't plan
It
on this.
wasn't.
We planned on just recording an episode and doing whatever. We was like, hey, let's go live. Why not? Shoot, let's do it.
It was definitely a spur of the moment type deal,
Hey, if you want to chill with us on this this Monday evening, thank you very much.
for sure.
Definitely appreciate y'all. But look here, since y'all joined us on Monday, we gotta let y'all know for Wednesday. Um, this young artist, his name is
Sweat
Sweat.
Ortiz,
He is the son of a brat that we know.
for sure.
He has good music out there.
I rearranged to let you pick.
Oh, my bad, it's too loud. So that's what we got coming Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Sweat Artiste is gonna be with us. Real good dude. Young cat, 25 years old, Lake Charles, Louisiana. Um, Man, I'm looking forward to this, man.
Most deaf, most deaf. We actually hadn't spoken with this young man earlier, and we kind of did a small rundown. And man, this young fella, uh, I can't say enough good things about him. Actually, just again listening to his music, um, it brought chills to me because the words that he was saying and conveying in his music, it really made me feel like this young man has really lived through that. He's just not. speaking something or saying something for the sake of saying it. He's actually, grown and been through some trials and tribulations through his life, and he definitely conveys that through his music.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, this episode is brought to you by, sponsored by Sweat Artiste. His album, Sorry It Had to Be That Way. You can find him on Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud. I'm gonna sit his name up there right there. His name is Sweat Artiste.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Out, man. Check him out. He's on Instagram too as well. Um, Tell him that we sent you because we believe in this guy and in his craft and his art. Um, you know, and that's all I got, man. King and I Life podcast. We're on all the major podcast platforms, whatever you choose to listen to podcasts on. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Um, Soon Patreon once we get that rocking. We have a lot of African American historical figures, places, and events on our podcast, so go check those out. A lot of good information. I definitely encourage you to check those out and do further research on those topics that we did.
Most def. And we got some things in the works for our viewers and our listeners. So please just stay tuned. We're just trying to work through some final details, but we're getting there. So please just be
Oh yeah,
patient with us. And please hit that like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you.
yes, and you're gonna see a little something else from Wednesday, baby.
For sure, for sure.
All right, y'all. We is out of here. Have a great night. Again, thank y'all for joining us. So touch
Yes.
forward here.
Son Soul Lex, and thank all the ladies who chimed in. We really appreciate that.
Yes, and we out. We out.
Peace.